Hi there, I am Celine Remy. I'm so happy that you're here today because in this video I am going to talk about the clitoris and the G-spots and the A-spot. Basically, we're going to look at your pleasure points and why they need a little bit of stimulation and attention because yes, your pleasure matters. If you are new to my channel, make sure you click the subscribe button now so you can always stay up to date with my latest videos. So let's first talk about your clitoris, because for most people, when they think clitoris, they think a little button on the surface that they see. And yes, it is part of the clitoris, but it's only the tippy top of the iceberg because your clitoris is much longer and bigger. It has legs. So if this was my clitoris, my head, basically it has legs that are attached where my arms are where the legs are of the clitoris. And those legs go all the way down inside the vagina. The average length of the legs of the clitoris are about 5 inches long, which is about the average length of a penis. Hey, go figure, who would have thought, right? So now that we know more about our clitoris and that we know it's not just a little button on the surface, but it has legs and is much bigger and longer, the idea that all of your orgasms are somehow clitorally connected does make sense, right? That's right, that means most of your orgasms are clitorally based, even your beloved G-spot. Because the back of your clitoris is located near the urethral sponge and ducts, which is the exact location of your G-spot. So, G-spot, let's do a quick recap. So you find your G-spot by inserting a finger or a dildo or a toy about 1.5 knuckles deep and moving up towards your pubic bone, and you will find different little ridges, like the skin is a little bit different, and that's how you know you are on your G-spot. It may not be something that is mind-blowing the first time you stimulate your G-spot, because what I have found is that a lot of women have numbing in their genitalia, which prevent them from experiencing and feeling pleasure. So sometimes we need to start to reactivate and awaken all the different zones within the vagina in order to start to feel pleasure again. And that's when the clitoris comes in handy, because for most women the clitoris works and they focus on the outside. But when you start to link the outside, the clitoris, and link it with the inside, you can start to train the body. I like to say that the clitoris is like a fire stoker. It helps to reconnect all the different parts, and when you rub your clitoris on the outside, guess what? The legs on the inside are starting to swell and react to the stimulation. And if you do stimulation of the G-spot with the stimulation of the clitoris, you are much more guaranteed to experience more sensations and awaken those different areas in your body. So now let's talk about the A-spot, because the A-spot is something that's kind of fairly new that some people have heard about. You may have heard about ASpot or AFE zone. It stands for Anterior Fornix Erogenous Zone. I know it's a mouthful, so let's just stick with A-spot. So it hovers just above the cervix, way back inside the vagina. And that's why it's a zone that's not being stimulated very often for women, especially if your partner is not very big or if you don't really use toys that are long enough to reach that particular area of your body. Now, you also need to know that your cervix will change position during your cycle, especially if you are still menstruating. So when you are not fertile, your cervix will come lower into your vaginal canal because of the progesterone. When you are fertile and there's all the estrogen and you are into that phase of your cycle, your cervix will stand higher, and oftentimes it will have a little tilt. So if you can't quite find your cervix, you should try it at different times of your cycle because of the fact that it changes and moves up and down within the vaginal canal. So if you're not sure about how to find your cervix, the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to squat and to push down on your lower abdomen while inserting 1 or 2 fingers. So make sure you wash your hands first and your soap, but then using 1 or 2 fingers and going all all the way in until you feel like a hard spot. And it will vary. When I say hard, I want you to touch the tippy top of your nose, and that's about what it feels like. Something like this when the cervix is not open and is closed, but the cervix is really what separates it from going into the uterus. So you will feel it. And for some women, it does feel uncomfortable. So you want to be gentle. But I think squatting is the easiest way to reach it, because sometimes laying down is a little awkward. So if you're thinking about the A-spot and you're like, okay, how do I reach this? There's another way to reach your A-spot, and it is through your anus. Because of its location way far back into the vagina, you can actually, it's very close to the rectum. So when you have anal penetration, you can stimulate this spot, because there's only a really thin layer of skin here that separates the rectum from the vaginal canal. And when there is pressure that's being put there, guess what? The pressure will activate the A-spot. So you can activate your A-spot from your vagina or from your anus. Ultimately, don't get so caught up into all the different locations. Just know that your vagina has many areas that can feel and experience pleasure, and that they can be awakened. Just knowing about them, putting awareness and giving them a try can help. But know that your clitoris plays a massive role in your orgasm. So celebrate your clitoris, incorporate your clitoris when you have penetration, so that it can really activate those other zones of pleasure. And remember, it is always all about the journey and not so much about the destination. So I celebrate you and I celebrate your pleasure, and I wish you so many orgasms and juiciness in your life.